Good morning, you guys. It's right around 9 a.m. and we're getting our ham in our roaster. This is one of the 3 hams that we got from the whole pig that we recently ordered. This is the smallest ham. I decided to go with this one because I was talking to my husband last night. He wants to save the larger hams, one for Christmas because we always host Christmas, and we figured the smaller ham would be best to just do one meal-sized portion to throw in eggs or a quiche or to top soups or anything like that. We decided to go with the small one. That's our thinking on that. So what we're going to be putting in our ham, this is how my father-in-law taught me how to make hams, and by far it's the best ham. This is always how we cook them for Christmas. We always, because my husband comes from a large family, he's one of 7 children, plus they all have kids. You know, it's small, family get-togethers are never small. So we always do a ham and a turkey for every holiday, but I'm starting off with Dr. Pepper. This is going to like glaze the ham and make it ooey gooey and delicious. I'm putting in about a can's worth of Dr. Pepper, but I didn't want to buy a whole 12 pack of Dr. Pepper if I'm only using it for this purpose. So I got a 2 liter, enough for the ham and enough for the kids to have like a float or something. I didn't want more soda than that in the house. You're gonna take brown sugar. I put just a little bit to start, okay? Then we're gonna take a jar of cherries and the cherry juice. So good, you guys. This is gonna help glaze it, working with all of the sugars in the soda, the brown sugar obviously, and then our cherry juice. Normally I would have gotten stemless cherries, but they substituted this on my Walmart order, which is totally fine. So I'm just gonna take a second to pluck. Well, I suppose it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna throw in this whole jar of cherry juice and cherries. This is 10 ounces. Full disclosure, my son took a couple cherries out of this already this morning because I left them on my counter. So a handful of cherries. The next thing I'm going to throw in, if I had, I'm gonna actually have to go downstairs in my storage shelf and look. You're gonna throw in a whole jar, whole can of pineapples with about a 4th cup of pineapple juice. And that is gonna be the mixture of our ham. If I don't have canned pineapple, I do have a whole fresh pineapple I'll cut up and throw in here. But I'm gonna have to go see that really quick. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I don't have any canned pineapple, and I don't feel like cutting up the whole pineapple just because my fridge is really full right now and I don't have somewhere to store it if I were to cut it all up right now. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of extra brown sugar. It'll be fine. Now, you have to take it in, rub in all of that deliciousness. Get the ham really coated with the brown sugar, start working it in. I'll start crushing up some of these cherries too that are on top, really soaking it in. I did just say cherries. And I'm just gonna rub this in just like that. And this is gonna help getting a really crusty caramelized glaze on our ham, which is gonna make it, okay, this is gonna make it delicious. So this is actually done. All I'm gonna do is first wash my hands, put the cover on this, plug it in. I'm gonna put it on 250, 300 degrees, and this is not going to take that long. You guys, I took this out of my freezer last night and I let it sit in my sink with lukewarm water all night. I'm gonna say about 16 hours worth of sitting in the lukewarm water to let it thaw out naturally, slowly, all those good things. So it's pretty much well unfrozen or defrosted, however you want to say that. So my cooking time is not going to be very long, a couple hours. This will definitely be done by early afternoon, and then I'll have the rest of the afternoon to cut it up, slice it, dice it, and get it ready for my husband. So when my husband comes home, he can help me get it in the vacuum sealer and seal some bags to get it back in the freezer. And we're also gonna be making dinner with this ham tonight because if we're making it, we might as well use it while it's fresh. I'm not sure exactly what application I'm gonna be using this in. I might do like diced ham and scalloped potatoes in the oven with make some fresh bread or something this morning as well. That's kind of what I'm leaning toward, just because I can prep the potatoes as well and just have it all prepped, ready to go, put it in the oven, and it'll be fresh and hot. It's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but I'm gonna wash my hands because they're super sticky, and we're gonna turn this on and get this going, and probably start on making our bread loaves for later on today as well. Okay, now I am working on my bread recipe. This is written in the description box down below for you guys. It's really simple, so we're gonna start with 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, but like I said, it will be down in the description. And the cool thing about this recipe is it does make 2 loaves of bread. So I'm gonna make 1 loaf of bread, and then I'm gonna take the other portion of the dough and we're gonna make some raspberry and cream cheese like cinnamon rolls. I'll show you guys how we're gonna make those. So I'm just gonna throw everything in my mixer here, get my dough mixed up, and get that ready for our first rise. And then I'll see you guys in a little bit when our ham is ready to go and when our dough is ready to be made into loaves or sweet rolls. So let's get going. Normally, if I were making this dough and I were just making something sweet out of it, I would throw in some cardamom and a little bit of vanilla extract in my dough. It just helps it turn it from more like a bread to a sweet, almost pastry dessert-like dough. That's my tip from me to you, but because I am making bread out of one half and sweet rolls out of the other, I'm not gonna put those things in today, but I think it'll be okay because we're adding in raspberry preserves and some like cream cheese frosting, and we're gonna roll it up. So it'll be delicious either way. So I'm not super worried about it. I didn't realize that I was almost out of flour up here, so I'm gonna have to run downstairs and fill this for sure because this recipe takes 5 to 6 cups of flour, and I think I maybe have 3 cups here. So I'm just going to kind of get this started. I like to add my flour at first, like 2 cups at a time, and then slowly with the other cups. Same with my water. This recipe total calls for 2 1/4 cup water, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2 1/4 cup. I like to add that slowly but surely. Just kind of waiting and working, letting everything come together. But I am going to go fill this up because I am going to go down to my basement for a second, and my kids are up here. I am going to completely unplug this KitchenAid just as a safety precaution. I'm gonna leave it like this. Not that they're going to touch it, but you never know. So I'm going to leave it like this and go fill this up and be right back. While this is mixing, I'm gonna go ahead and get my, well, wait, you know what? I'm not actually making anything else in my KitchenAid, so I'm just gonna put my dough right back in my KitchenAid bowl because I already have the cream cheese frosting prepped and the raspberry preserve, so I don't have to mix anything else. Otherwise, I would take this time to get my bowl ready that I'm gonna let my dough rise in, and I would get that ready by just putting a little bit of olive oil in the bowl. So I don't normally do this, but my KitchenAid seems to be giving me a little bit of issues right now. So I'm going to kind of hand knead the last little bit of flour into this dough. Kneading is actually where the gluten structures come in from bread, which is actually pretty cool. So I'm gonna knead this for a couple minutes. I guess get my arm workout in for the day. And then we're just going to plop it in our bowl here off the mixer. Make sure that we get our dough nice and covered in some olive oil so the dough doesn't dry out. And cover it with a towel, let it rise, and then I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting the kitchen picked up and prepped for the rest of the shenanigans that we are going to be doing later today. Okay, so it's not the most beautiful ball of dough, but it'll definitely do. It has oil on it. That's going to keep it from drying out and keep our dough really workable. Some people throw a damp towel over this. I never have. My stuff rises. If you really wanted to, you could throw this in your oven with the oven light on. That'll help it rise. I'm just gonna put mine on top. You know what? I might actually put mine in my oven with the light on because I want to open up some of my windows today because it's warmer. No snow. So I think I might do that just so that it can stay warm and I can get some air moving through the house this morning. So I'm gonna do this, clean up the kitchen, get ready for the day, get out of my pajamas, and get the day chug-a-lugging here. You're gonna have to ignore real life happening all around me. But I also wanted to make like a breakfast style quiche just to have for the week. And I think I'll probably just end up eating this for lunch as well. But I have some maple breakfast sausage here from the hog that we purchased. So we're gonna go ahead and cook this up because I want to put this in the quiche. And I'm not entirely sure what else I want to put in the quiche. I think I'm going to chop up an onion. I have some mushrooms in the fridge that I think would be really yummy. I was thinking about maybe putting some potatoes in the quiche as well. Not really too sure. I have some peppers from last year's garden in the freezer I could possibly throw in here as well. So I'm basically just going to cook the add-ins for my quiche in here this morning, and we'll kind of see what ends up getting developed. I bought some pie crust from Aldi. If you watched my grocery haul video, that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to make 2 quiche today because I have lots of eggs. It's spring. My chickens are laying like crazy. We'll have one for lunch, and then for leftovers for the rest of the week as well, maybe for breakfast, who knows. And then the other quiche I'm gonna stick in the freezer and pull it out maybe on a weekend for like a Saturday morning breakfast or something. But this is what we're working on today. We'll see what ends up getting put in this because we're gonna figure it out together. I've only made quiche one other time, and I actually made that quiche with you guys as well. It was during a postpartum meal prep video, and we put ham and cheese and broccoli in it, and that quiche was amazing. I loved that. It was kind of hit or miss with my family. It is always kind of hard when you're getting kids to eat something new, so I understand when they're a little weary about it, but it had things in it that they really liked, so some took to it, some didn't. So we're gonna see how this one goes over, and hopefully it'll be a little bit of a better situation. If not, I'm not super worried about it because like I said, I really liked the quiche, so if I am the only one that ends up eating it, that is a-okay. I'll cook it up and have a whole quiche for the week for breakfast or something. Okay, so I did rinse off 1 button mushroom. You can definitely hear the kids playing behind me. They're having so much fun. Usually when I cook with mushrooms, because my family doesn't like them that much, I tend to try to keep them small, because if they're small, it's a lot harder for them to pick it out because they usually don't even know it's there. It's definitely more of a mental game. If you're new here, I always joke that my husband is my pickiest eater. He definitely is. My kids are great eaters. They love fruits and vegetables. My husband is a very meat, cheese, and potato kind of guy. So he has gotten much better over the years. I've been cooking for him for almost a decade now, so I know where I can hide things, and he usually doesn't even know. So we got this going. I think I'm gonna chop up. I have some onions in the fridge. I think I'm gonna throw those in here as well. And that might be it. I might leave this quiche pretty plain. I found my onion. I had to dig all the way in the back of the fridge. Thinking definitely some salt and pepper. This is just like some seasoned salt. Essentially, it's a little bit spicier than seasoned salt. It's got a little kick to it. Super nice. One of you guys asked in, I think it was my cookie video, where I got this. My husband got this for me from Menards. It was super cost efficient. I think it's like $3 or $4, and it's one of my favorite cooking utensils. I use it almost daily. It's awesome. It's basically just like a wide paneled spatula, but I love it. I use it all the time. So I'm gonna let this cook down, and while this is going, I'm going to mix together the eggs and some heavy cream, some cheese for the actual egg portion of our quiche as well. I ended up putting 12 eggs in this bowl, and this is going to be split between the 2 pie crusts for our quiche. So 6 eggs per quiche, and then I just seasoned it a little bit with salt, well, a seasoned salt and then some pepper. I'm really happy that I kept these quiche really basic because they ended up being so delicious, just like with the natural flavor of the egg and the maple breakfast sausage and then the little bit of onion and mushroom. It was so good. So I threw in a splash of heavy cream just because when I followed a recipe the first time I made quiche, it called for heavy cream. So I put a little bit in that in there. I threw in a handful or 2 of mozzarella cheese because that's what I had in my fridge. And then while I was doing that, of course, I was just babysitting our maple breakfast sausage, our onions, our mushrooms, and then I put that in with our eggs. And you can see me kind of stirring it a little bit. That's because I wanted to make sure that the eggs weren't scrambling because the meat was hot. Poured those between our 2 quiche. I do recommend making your quiche on a baking treat. That way if you have any spillover, it's not that big of a deal. The sheet catches it, and you're going to see that I do have a little bit of spillover. And then I just kind of moved the meat around to make sure that it was evenly distributed. Now here we are prepping for our bread and our sweet rolls. So I just put a little bit of olive oil between 2 pans, one for our bread loaf, one for our sweet rolls. I set those aside and grabbed our dough that you can see definitely doubled in size. It looks fantastic. I took my pastry cutter here, got out my rolling pin, split our stuff in half, one for our bread loaf. Obviously, I just shaped that really quick, threw it in the bread pan, push it aside. Now we are rolling out for our sweet rolls. I shoot for a rectangle-ish shape, but I don't look for perfection. This is raspberry preserves that I buy from a local like country store, and they do everything with no preservatives and everything like that. So they did all the work for me here. And then I took some cream cheese frosting that I already had in my fridge left over, smeared that inside. Then I rolled it up into this little log here, and Colt wanted to help me, so he helped with the pastry cutter, cutting them all up. And they're not the same size here, but that's not what's important. What we did was line them in our cookie sheet and set them up for a second rise before we put them in the oven to bake. Here's our ham. It is smelling so good in here, you guys, between the ham and the quiche. Oh, so this is actually going to be almost pretty much ready. You're just waiting for it to get, I'm pretty sure the ham temperature needs to be 165. I have a meat thermometer. We'll check that before we start cutting into these, but smelling delicious. Then our quiche is just about done. I'm gonna give these just a couple more minutes because I rotated the pan. Okay, I kind of figured you didn't even just see me cut up the whole ham, so I pulled it out. I got all the ham. I am gonna save the ham bone. I don't think I'm gonna keep it though. I'm actually gonna go see my in-laws, not tomorrow, but the next day. Just kidding. No, tomorrow. Yes, I am gonna go see them tomorrow. And I'm just gonna put this in a Ziploc bag and bring them the ham bone. They'll use it to make split pea soup or like bean and bacon soup or something like that. I never reuse these ham bones. I always think I'm going to, but I never end up getting around to it. So I'm just gonna give it to them. Otherwise, I would just put it in a Ziploc bag and throw it in my freezer and label it as a ham bone. So I did leave some meat on it because that helps just give it the delicious flavor. But other than that, this is all of my ham here. I prepped the potatoes for our scalloped potatoes, and I'm just gonna throw the ham in here as well, and my milk and a little bit of heavy cream, my spices, and then I'm just gonna throw this whole dish in the fridge and we'll have it for dinner. All I'll have to do is throw it in the oven. I'm hoping to get it all done because Cleo had a little bit of a cranky moment. She's teething, so we have moments where it can be a little rough, and I have a sense that it's gonna be one of those days, so I just want to hurry up and get it done. That way I don't have to worry about it later. With our quiche, I was gonna eat this for lunch, but then I remembered we actually had leftover lasagna in the fridge, so Colt and I had that instead. I'm just going to wrap these in tin foil and put them in the freezer and pull these out later on for when we need them. Our bread is rising, and so are our raspberry cream cheese sweet rolls. Colt helped a lot with those, so those are kind of going to be his creation at this point. Those are rising, so all I'm hoping to get done is to cut up this ham, package it up. I think I'm just going to cut it all up and put it in a Ziploc until my husband gets home, and he will help me use the vacuum sealer. He'll probably package all that up for me, honestly. So we are definitely a team. I don't do all the work around like in the kitchen when it comes to prepping large things. He runs a vacuum sealer, so this is gonna be his thing. And then the vegetable that I wanna have with this are actually peeled glazed carrots. So good. It's Colt and I's favorite. The other people in the family don't really like it that much, so I'll also make a batch of corn for the kids and the people who don't like the carrots. So we're gonna have carrots and corn, but obviously I don't have to do any prep work for the corn, so I'm gonna try to do this ham, peel the carrots, and get everything set and ready so that later today all I have to do is throw things in the oven or turn them on the heat and walk away. It'll be done. And maybe if I'm really on top of it, I can also go through and clean up the prep of things that happened in the kitchen today. My dishwasher's going already with the first round of dishes. Obviously I'm gonna have a second round. I'm gonna have some hand washing to do, so let's see how much I can get done within this little period of time here. I think I'm just gonna finish off this little piece here. Sorry, Cleo's talking to me. And I think this will be good enough for dinner tonight. And then I was kind of thinking, I think I might actually just let this cool off and put it all in Ziplocs just like this and let my husband kind of decide how much of it do you think we should dice, how much do you think of it we should leave sliced. I want to get his opinion on it, I guess. I don't know. I keep going back and forth. Do I just cut? Do I just dice it all? I really don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I keep going back and forth. I do. I'm gonna save that fat cap and this fat cap here. And once it cools down, I will give that part to the dogs. They will love that. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is set aside the pieces that are like really big, nice steaks, and I'll keep those whole. And then I think I'm going to dice everything else. And then, yeah, I'm gonna dice these big, fat, like chunky pieces. Okay, I made up my mind, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll see you guys when all of this is taken care of. Just in the nick of time, I got all of our ham bagged here. They're all open. It's still hot, and if you seal it while it's hot, it's gonna be super yucky. So I'm gonna let those cool off a little bit before I put those in the fridge or in the freezer. And then I got my scalloped potatoes in here, and just in time, we're gonna go hang out with the baby, and then I'll wrap these up at some point. It's been a while since I talked to you guys, but we have our rolls and our bread rising in the oven. Our rolls are actually probably ready where I could turn the oven on and start them. Bread, I want to get a little bit, well, I probably could bake it actually. I'm gonna give these about another 15 minutes and then I'm gonna turn the oven on and let them go. But in just a couple hours in the kitchen, we did a whole ham, got that picked, made 2 quiche. What else do we do? The rolls, the bread, and we prepped dinner for tonight. So I just wanted to make a point in saying that you don't have to spend all day in the kitchen every single day to get like real home cooked meals or desserts or anything like that. You can make the most out of your time in the kitchen, get in, get out, and that's really what we did today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, I will show you guys what these rolls and stuff look like when they come out of the oven. But I just want to say I hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will catch you guys in another video. Bye.